Hey everybody, Steve here. How you doing? Well, it's been a while since I've done one of these chat type formats, and it's been a while since I've posted a video. I've done the devotionals on Sundays, but I haven't posted a cooking video or anything else other than the devotionals. Oh man, it's almost probably 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks since early August. So I just wanted to kind of catch back up with you and say hi. Hey, y'all miss me? I missed y'all. So I have been reading your comments as it went, but work's been a little crazy. We had, so the site I work at, we have the C-17 simulator. We have 4 sim techs that keep it running. And then we have a Boeing site manager lead that kind of interacts with the customer and makes sure we have everything we need, and then there's supposed to be 4 pilot instructors and 2 loadmaster instructors. And early July, the site lead left and moved back to St. Louis, and so I've kind of stepped into that role. Now I had intended to stay and do that and continue instructing. And it wasn't because of the job or anything. I had been thinking about it and praying about it a lot, and just decided, okay, I'm gonna head home. And that was my other video, or the big news, that I was gonna finish up my contract here in the UAE and then go back home and pursue an airline career. So, but I've been busy with the site. There's all every time somebody comes to visit, I have to coordinate, base access and all that stuff, and it's a lot of bureaucracy and things to jump through. So I'm doing that in addition to instructing. And of course, this is summertime, and guys with families that are over here, they want to go home and see family, and so that's been the case. So pretty much since July, we've had one of the instructors out on vacation, and then we were supposed to have one come back, and that was the one I was talking about that was not feeling well. He had a little time in the hospital with the health scare. He's all fine now. They couldn't find anything, which I guess sometimes that's worse, right? When they can't figure out what happened and why it happened. But he's going to come back here and run some more tests. He's feeling fine and recovering fine. So we've been down. We've been shorthanded. So I've been busy, doing the site lead stuff and teaching the simulator. And so I'm going to give you a little bit that's kind of why it's been going on. And then I moved into this new place here, and it does not have an oven. So all of the baking type dishes that I did, like the date bread and the pineapple cake and all this, makes me hungry thinking about it. All those things, not going to be able to do that now. I got a microwave, I got a 2-burner stovetop, and I've got Crock-Pot Dundee, my slow cooker, and an air fryer. And that's what I've got. So I'm back to, of course, I lived here before and I cooked fine and all, so it's not like I'm going to starve or anything. So in fact, I've got plans to make a slow cooker pot of spaghetti. So I'm going to fire that up soon. But anyway, all of that, came together. Just got a lot going on right now. And in the meantime, what the future looks like for me. So I finish up here at the end of October, and then I'm going to go back home. And the week that I get back, I've got a dental appointment, which I haven't had a cleaning in a year and a half now. So it's time to get my teeth looked at. Not that I've got any pain or anything issues. I use one of those electric toothbrushes. Man, those things are great. Really keep my teeth clean. Every time I go in there, when the hygienist finishes cleaning, I go, "That's the cleanest you've ever seen, isn't it?" They always go, "Yes, sir." I always go up to the front, and I'm like, "She said it was the cleanest teeth she's ever seen." So, but I've got that, and then I also need to get. So here's the plan. So the plan is to go fly with the airlines. That's the plan. I'm reading in the news and everything else, and the time is perfect. I mean, there's a pilot shortage coming, and it's only going to get worse. And so I'm throw my hat in the ring. And So here's the trick, though. I mean, there's a lot of different things you got to do. It's not just I haven't actually physically flown a heavy airplane since 2011. So recency of experience, that's on my mind. But I've got to first thing I got to do is pass a class 1 medical physical. So they look at you, they look at your heart, make sure you're not going to have a heart attack or anything like that while you're flying passengers, because that wouldn't be good. And they're going to look at that. So I've got that scheduled for the week I get back. And then the ravishing Mrs. Ritter and I'm hoping to take a trip out to see my oldest boy Nathan and to see my granddaughters out in San Diego before my son Nathan PCSs or moves. He's got another assignment in Texas. He's going to go be a pilot instructor down at Corpus Christi. So we want to see him and the girls before he leaves, and so we've got that. And then the next thing you know, Thanksgiving's around the corner, so we'll have time with that. But then in December, I've got 2 very busy weeks about the middle of December, where I've got to go take my ATP and the airline transport pilot to get certified as ATP license. And that involves going to Atlanta for a week and training in the simulator, and they go over. I'm not really sure what they teach down there. They don't expect anything when you show up. They explain principles and things like that, I think. And then that's a week of that in the simulator there at the Delta training facility. Not that I'm working with Delta, although I'd love to, but that's this company that I'm getting my ATP with contracts with Delta to use simulator time. So my brother-in-law Sean did that there, and he was like, "Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I was flying a 747 simulator around and doing all kind of stuff." So I'm doing that for a week. And then I'm driving from Atlanta to Goldsboro, around Goldsboro, North Carolina, and I have to drive there. That's like a 7-hour drive, and then get up the next morning at 5:30. I've got a test. I've got to take an ATP written test. So there's a bank of 500 questions, and of which they pick 100 of them, or something like that, or maybe it's 1,000, and they pick 100 questions out of it. Multiple choice test. You have to pass that. And then that week, I'm going to be flying in a twin engine Piper Seneca 2. So it's a twin engine plane, and that's actually flying. So go out there, and there's all kind of maneuvers. You have to fly an instrument approach and holding, and then you have to practice engine out. So they pull an engine back, and you have to fly around and fly an approach single engine, and landings, of course. That's important to land. Doesn't matter how well you take off, it matters how well you land, right? So, but any landing you walk away from is a good one, right? So, but that's, so involved with all of that. I mean, I've got all these questions that I've been going through, all of these questions to prepare me, because then at the end of that week, I get a check ride. So an FAA dedicated flight evaluator will come and ride along with me in the airplane and certify that I passed the check ride. So that at the end of that, I would have my ATP rating, which would allow me to be hired by the airlines. So at that point, I start putting in applications for airlines. And a good friend of mine from college, one of my college roommates, his daughter just got hired by a regional airline, one actually that I was kind of looking at to get. So that's an option. It's weighing that also is, okay, am I going to have to fly with the regional first? Because I haven't actually physically flown a heavy airplane, again, since 2011. So sometimes there's recency of experience issues that go on. But, then another friend of mine said, well, you have flown, you were taking your ATP, and there's time. And some companies are going to go, yeah, okay, no, that's good. Whatever, that's fine with me. So I put all the applications in. I'm just going to shotgun them out to everywhere I can to see what happens. and then go from there. That's kind of the plan. In the meantime, we have our house in Charleston. Of course, that's where the ravishing Mrs. Ritter has been living, and I have no plans to move right now. Of course, that would be kind of foolish now because we don't know where we're going to go, and I may get hired by, I don't know. Not sure where I was just sitting. I was about to say Alaska Airlines, but I'm not sure I want to move out to the West Coast. We've lived out there. It is beautiful, but it's just far away from family, So right now, I've got Will's down in Florida, and Benjamin's in Virginia, and Bella's going to school in Virginia, and Nathan's going to be in Texas. So, it's kind of the other end of the country. So, and all our family's East Coast right now. So I'm thinking, ideally, would be at this point looking at Delta. That would be nice. I'm a Delta Sky Miles member. When I've traveled in 2019, I flew a lot with them. I flew exclusively with them because I was trying to build points up, And I really like the way they do business. I like I've had nothing but good experience with Delta, nothing but good. So I think they're a good company. My brother-in-law flies for them. He speaks highly of them. Also looking, and then you got to kind of look at, okay, what about bases? Where are their domiciles? So airlines, they fly all over, but typically they'll have domiciles where pilots are and flight attendants are. That's when you hear them say, you're flying with this, Detroit-based crew, today flying to Atlanta or whatever, or that's what that means, is their home base where they live is in Detroit, and they fly. That's where they typically will start or fly out of from there. Now they may live in, Illinois and commute up to Detroit to begin their trips or whatever. But domiciles are typically where you start out at. So now the question is, okay, what airline, what domiciles, are there? So, Delta has Atlanta and New York City, which is where my brother-in-law's domiciled out of, and Detroit and Salt Lake City and Seattle. I think there's one more. Can't remember what it is. And that's their bases. And then, so you'd have got, okay, well, is that where I want to live? Any of those places where I want to live? Or how easy is it to get in there? If I lived if I lived in some far off, way in the corner of Virginia, back country, farm somewhere, and it takes me 2 hours to drive to Roanoke to catch one flight up to New York to go do my job. That wouldn't be very convenient. So that's something else to factor in, and all that's swirling around in my mind, So Delta, you got American, their domiciles. There's one out of Charlotte, because I guess they bought U.S. Air, that's where they were out of. So Charlotte, Dallas, Miami, that wouldn't be so bad. American's got a lot of domiciles, and then I'm looking at United also. They typically are more in the upper parts of the country. United, I think the most southern one they have is at Dulles in Washington, which wouldn't be so bad. Get a nice little country farm out there in the Virginia, and drive up to Dulles to go fly. That wouldn't be so bad. And then, that's great, but, it also, you have to look at, how senior are they? So some of the places, nobody leaves. Everybody wants to go there. Nobody wants to leave. Atlanta's pretty senior for Delta. So if you come on as a co-pilot in Atlanta and nobody leaves, you stay where you're at. There's no movement upwards, and seniority is everything, is what I'm hearing about the airline. So you move up, and the more senior you are, the better you get to pick sooner. And it's like being the oldest kid, gets to, gets to take, gets to pick which piece of chicken first, so more than the younger kids. So being more senior, you get to pick the trips you want that are more advantageous to the lifestyle you're looking for. So that's another factor. So that's why Sean likes New York City for Delta, because it's pretty junior. Typically, folks don't want to live up there or whatever, and they kind of, they want to live around Atlanta. And so New York tends to be more junior, and he's been able to move up, and he just made captain, and he's been with Delta for 3 years, and he made captain on 737. So that's another thing. So all of this stuff is just swirling around in my head, and I've been looking into that and reading up on it and all of these things. And the first question I had to ask myself when I started thinking about going through all this was, do I want to do it? That's a lot of work. I mean, it's been a lot of work. I've probably put in, 8 hours of studying and everything else, and I'm just getting into it. So, and it's going to be, typically an hour a day for the next 2 months, trying to get back up to speed. And having been involved as a sim instructor, teaching this, it's kept my mind in the game, and it's kept me involved with flying. So it's not like I've been, farming or something for the last, 10 years since I flew. I have been around aviation. So it's especially for the last, 3 years. So, but it's, so there's a base level of knowledge that a lot of it's just kind of knocking the burrs off and smoothing things out and making sure I follow it. So, but again, I was a military pilot. There's a lot of civilian rules that are different. So things that I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I got to pay attention to this now, which I never really had to worry about. But anyway, so that's where I've been. That's what's been going on. I'm sorry that I haven't been posting all the cooking videos that I had in the past, and I'm going to do some occasionally and do some more. But I continue to read all your comments and everything else, and I appreciate them all. And I appreciate all the encouragement. Again, I'm heading home at the end of October to see the Ravishing Mrs. Ritter and all my kids. So hope. Let me know if you had any other questions or comments down below about what I'm doing, or any questions you have about it, what's involved. I'd be happy to answer, or try to answer as best I can. So in the meantime, hey, we'll talk to you next time. Take care.